Okay, we left off in the Maral, the Gevruras Hashem, Perek, Shlosha V'Esrim, 23rd chapter, the page Sariches in the Sefer, the first column. Perek Rabbi Akiva, in the chapter Rabbi Akiva, which is a Perek in Sechus Shabbos, Shamomru b'Shem Rebavo Binyan Acher. They had said in the name of Rebavo, another direction, Har Sinai Shmo. The mountain is called Har Sinai. V'loma Nikra Shmo Har Chorev. Why is it referred to as the mountain of Chorev? Sheyarda Churva L'umis Ha'olam Adav. As a result of what took place at Har Sinai, destruction came upon all the nations of the world, or condemnation, because of what took place at Sinai. From the word Churva is a runes, Churva. It was the ruination of the nations because of what happened at Sinai. Biruzeh, Ki Lahar Sinai Shtei Shemos Bulvod. Har Sinai has two names. Echod Shem Atzmi. One is its essence. V'Hasheni Mash Nischayv Min Etzim. And what was the consequence? What is a consequence of Har Sinai? A consequence of Har Sinai is Churva. That's a consequence. In Etzem Shlos Nischayv Menu Dover. Ulefichoch Nikra Lo Shnei Shemos. He's saying an interesting concept. If the consequence is inherent in the essence of what it is. Har Sinai, the mountain, was meant for the Torah to be given. Because of that, that's why it's the ruination of the nations. The nations rejected it. They had the ultimate opportunity, and they turned their backs. And they said to God, we're not interested. So because of what happened at that mountain, the natural consequence was their ruination, or their condemnation. Ha'echad mora al atzmuso. Sinai is the actual, that is the mountain. The other is a consequence which brought about the condemnation. What is the consequence? The condemnation, the ruination of the nations. It's not the goodness, the good that we received. Because when are we recipients of the good? If we abide by it. If we conform to the Torah, then we're beneficiaries of the good. Meaning, Torah is all potential. If you live by it, then you have every opportunity to advance yourself. So where was the fulfillment of Torah? That's not the mountain. The mountain, that's where the relationship took place. It's an example. We find that Har Sinai was the equivalent, the event was chosen v'kala, like a groom and a bride. People get married, most exquisite, elegant wedding hall. But that's not what life is all about. That's what follows. That's the beginning. But what happens later, that will determine whether it's good or bad. Immediately. Because they rejected and they weren't willing to enter into that relationship. They had no interest in receiving the Torah. Immediately. They're deserving of what? Of condemnation. With this introduction of the special exalted level, the giving of Torah to Klal Yisrael, because of that, they received a decree. That's the other side of the coin. We find that Moshe Rabbeinu comes to this Har Elokim, and he sees a burning bush, something very unusual. The bush is burning, it's not consumed. So he approaches the bush. Vayar Malach Hashem, the angel of God, saw Moshe approaching. So what does the angel say to Moshe? Shal nolech me'araglecha, remove your shoes, ki admas kodesh. Oh, it's holy, hallowed ground. Now, who was this angel? Rabbi Yochanan Mazeh Michael. The angel was Michael. Michael is the archangel of Klal Yisrael. special angel. It's not an ordinary angel. Reb Chanina Omer Ze Gavriel, also one of the archangels. So was it Michael or was it Gavriel? Tamach Loksa Chachomim. The question is, what is the basis for the argument? Kim Neisha Makach Vayar Hashem Kisor Leros. Hashem saw that he came close to look at this unusual event. The bush is burning; it's not being consumed by the fire. What does it mean? He saw. It says Vayar Hashem. First it says Vayar Malach Hashem. This is Vayar Hashem. Hashem saw. That's the divine presence. We find that Michael is a more exalted angel than Gabriel, although they're both archangels, but in terms of priority, in terms of status, Michael is greater. The Gemara tells us we find that it is greater what's referred to regarding Michael than what's referred to Gabriel. Michael is one of the Seraphites. There's a certain echelon of angels. It says one Ela Echod min Asarofim. Vil Gabriel Nema V'ish Gabriel. More few of. So the question is, to what degree does it take to get close to God? It says the word Vayofin, he flew, like one leap. Michael was able to do it in one leap. Gabriel, he had to cover that same distance, do it 2 leaps. So why was Michael able to do it one leap? So from here we see that in the dimension of angel, Michael is a greater archangel than Gabriel. Ramzu bizet, this alludes, ki Michael godel mi Gabriel. This is the Gemara. Shunas osish lichusa ba'achas. When Michael carries out the agency of God, it's instantaneously. No level of hesitation, because that's his capacity. Vilub Gabriel b'shtayim takes him 2 leaps to carry out the agency of Hashem. Lefichach sover. Shekant came choice Hashchina Hashem bevaring Michael. So since it says the divine presence was there, it says the angel speaks to him, and then it says he sees the Hashem. So that indicates it's the greater of the two, the one who's closer to God. Shumalach Hayose Godel. It indicates this is the greater angel. Rab Chanina said no, Gabriel. Rab Chanina says no, it was Gabriel. Although Gabriel is a lesser dimension of angel. What was the location? It was the desert. It was the briar bush, the thorn bush, and it was with fire. We said, remember he said something profound. What does the desert represent? Something which it's not the location for the human. It's not a human habitat, a desert. And because of that, being out of the realm of human function, that's where you're able to have exact midas adin. Humanity can't deal with midas adin, the attribute of justice. As we see at the beginning of creation, he had to coalesce midas harachmim, the attribute of mercy, to midas adin. So since it was in the desert, its location midas adin. Gabriel is malach adin. He's the fiery angel, Gabriel. So he says, therefore, Sherotz l'kaim ashua shel ben absorim. And what's happening now? This is the fulfillment of the covenant between the parts. Uleficha choye Gabriel hamalach hamamun al adin. Who's the angel who oversees din? That's Gabriel. Umashanir hamalach al Moshe lo nir elav hashchina miyad. Why did it first? It was a 2-step process. First, he approaches the angel. He meets the angel. The angel tells him to remove his shoes because the ground is holy. And then he sees the Shekhinah. Why wasn't he presented with the divine presence immediately? Why did he first have to encounter the angel? Only then he encountered the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah was there, except he wasn't privy to the Shekhinah before the angel interacted with him. It wasn't only for the sake that he should see this unusual event and he should be drawn there because it attracted his curiosity. It's in preparation What is it? He saw the bush burning. The bush burning itself initially, that was the angel. When he came close, the angel says, remove your shoes. It's holy ground. So this is to prepare yourself for the Shekhinah. So if it would be the Shekhinah, what the Shekhinah should prepare him. He should notice the Shekhinah and that he should be attracted to divine presence. It's not respectful. So the angel, who's the agent of God, is the one who does the agency. He attracts his curiosity, comes close. Now you see the Shekhinah. That's the angel of Hashem. Then he saw Hashem, he saw the Shekhinah itself. It's interesting. It's very interesting. If a child, whatever day a child is born, the bris is on that day. That's 8 days later. So the Medrash asks, why is every child circumcised always on the 8th day? To guarantee that the child will live through a Shabbos, be exposed to the sanctity of Shabbos before he's circumcised. What is it analogous to? That if you want to have an audience with the king, before you go to the king, you have to meet the minister. Relative to the level of Kedusha, of the intensity of the holiness, Shabbos is less. When the child is circumcised, now he has a direct encounter with the Shekhinah, with the divine presence. Before he arrives at that level, he has to have an encounter with a lesser level. Shabbos is the minister. After he's circumcised, now that this impurity has been removed from him, now he's ready to meet the king himself. So it's similar. You have the Malach, the angel. After you were attracted by the angel, now you meet. That's the next level. However, the way the Maral is explaining, it's not really explaining it this way. No. Because we say that's in preparation. Here, the Malach, Moshe had to be drawn to the bush. Well, Hashem should draw him to the bush. It's not respectful. The angel draws him to the bush. He was saying that because you have an impurity, it's inappropriate that you should have a direct relationship with the king unless you first must see the minister. Because you have the impurity. So first you have to be touched with that. Now when we remove it, now you come. Except it's not so simple. It doesn't seem to be it's because of the impurity. Because if it's because of the impurity, it has nothing to do with remove it, you'll encounter the king. It seems to be you have to upgrade. It's gradations of exposure. You're exposed to first a lesser level. That's the protocol. You first meet the ambassador, the minister, then you go meet the king himself. It says balabas eish. It was in the labas. Labas means the flame of fire. Betochasne was so Rashi says, what's labas leish? From the word lave. It was the heart of the fire. Labas. Within the snare, within the bush, mitoch shnei chalokim shel snare ulamala. It was the upper 2/3 of the bush. Kshem shalev nosa mishnei chalokim ulamala. As the heart is in the upper extremities of the body, identically, this was the upper part of the bush. From the word lave. It was in labas eish. Birad hadover ki ashlisha elyon. The upper level was the holier part. The less level oil was burning, and also it had relevance to this, but it was the holiest was the upper third. It's the upper part of the body. It's the upper part of the torso. You have the legs, then you have up to the heart, then you have the heart, which is the upper, which is associated with the head. The most important part of the body is the heart and the brain and the head. Ol Moed. Listen to this. We have the Ol Moed, the communion tent. Hayu shloshim amo min hamizrach u'lamarov. Entering, you went from east to west. The Holy of Holies was in the west. You entered on the east. It was 30 amos. Of the 30 amos, of the 30 cubits, Yud Amos Achron Kodesh Kadoshim. Where was the Holy of Holies where the Aron was located? That's the curtain separated. That was the last 10. So it's 2/3. It's the last third in. So that's like the equivalent of the upper. It's phenomenal. I'm just thinking. We find that the Gemara says, what was the Beis Hamikdash called? Ariel. Ariel. Ariel is a lion. Arikel, a lion. So the Gemara says, of course, the structure of the Beis Hamikdash was similar to a lion. A lion, its physicality, its torso, its whole body, at the hips it's narrower. As you get to the shoulders, it's very wide. That's the lion. When you entered the Beis Hamikdash, initially you walked in, it was narrow, and as you came to the front, it got wider. So the physical form structure was similar to a lion. What's the wider part? That's the shoulders, that's the heart, and that's the head of the lion. Here he's saying the last third, it was 30 amos. We're talking about the covered sanctuary. So the last 10 amos of the covered sanctuary, that's where the Holy of Holies was. That's the heart. That's what it is. That's the Shechina. That's where the Aron was. That's Kodesh Kadoshim. Lekach mitzvah mezuzah acha shnei shlishim. Terrific. When it says you put the mezuzah al mezuzah's beisecha, it has to be in the upper third of the doorpost. If it's below that, it's not valid. Why the upper third? Because that's the most special part. The upper third always. The body, you see the way Hashem created the world. The heart, the head is the upper third. The Beis Hamikdash, the Holy of Holies, it's the last third. In terms of the mezuzah, where you see, it's the upper third. Well, also it's vision-wise. Visually, if it's the upper third, you see it, right? But Tam Yadua, and he says, and the reason is known, ki hashlish hu HaKodesh Yosef HaNivchar. The third is always the holiest and the most special. Whatever is chosen and special, nivra matmin arav, right? Give you an example. You mine gold, gold, or iron, whatever it is. What you have to, all the non-essential, the dirt, the earth, the stone, which has no value, you discard. You're always getting out. The percentage of what you extract is less than what you're extracting from, right? It's the same thing. So whatever is filtered out, which is removed, it's always the less from the more. Give you an example. You have the kernel and you have the chaff. The kernel compared to the chaff is it's a small percentage. So it's always whatever is more special, has the greatest significance, is always percentage-wise the less of the more. So if you told me two-thirds in, the last third. So relatively speaking, it's the smaller part, and where it's on the very top. Kacha shlishu anivchar, the kedusha shu amiyut. So the kedusha always manifests itself in the smallest part. Lekacha yamalach nire b'shlisha elyon. So which part of the bush was the angel? The Shechina was the upper part of the bush, the upper third. And of course, being on top is always indicates more special. It's interesting, just thinking. Shabbos, one of the creative activities that you're not permitted to do is called borer. Borer is processing. So what about to take ochel min apsolas, the essential from the non-essential? That's permitted. Usually the essential is less than the non-essential. That's called eating. If you take the non-essential from the essential, that's called processing. But if you take essential from non-essential, that's called eating. So you're permitted to eat. That's not called processing. So again, but what is it? So even the whole approach to something of value is the good from the bad, so to say. The good from the bad you could take. To remove the bad from the good, that you're not permitted. That's called processing. It's interesting. Jewish people are the smallest people, number-wise. Why? He's saying the more precious something is versus the totality, it's always the smallest element. So we're hama'at, we're the least of the nations. I mean, this is an understatement. I mean, we're barely noticeable. You have 7.5 billion people. What are the Jews? Barely 13 million people in existence. So this is the ma'at. This is the infinitesimal percentage of existence. That's what we are. Mitoch hasneh. It says the flame was within the bush. It says mitoch hasneh. Doesn't say alasneh, toch hasneh. Pirshu Razal Medrash Mos Rabbo. Omer Reb Yonah Hainu Hu Dichsiv Pischi Achosi Roosi Tamosi. Now he says he refers to Klal Yisrael. There's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim. Achosi means my sister. My Rosi, my beloved one. Tamosi, my complete one. Ma tu'umim hazeh shim echot chosh b'rosh chaver margish. It's interesting. Twins. When one ails, the other one feels it. Even though they're two entities. They're separated. But since in the womb they develop together, which were identical twins. It's the same. It was split. It's the other half of the other half. So when one has pain, the other one senses the other's pain. When the Jews are in a state of deprivation, pain, suffering, Hashem says, I feel their pain. In all their issues, their painful issues, I'm limited. As they're limited, I'm limited. He says, there's something very deep and very profound in this statement. Ki nikra Yisrael tamosi. Why we call tamosi? We're the equivalent. We're God's twin, so to say. We're the equivalent of God's twin in regard to this particular context. When we're pained, He's pained. It's interesting. The Torah refers to us. Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Do you know what your relationship with Hashem is?" Bonim atem l'Hashem Elokechem. A child. Although the love that a parent has for a child is not what a sibling has for a sibling, even a twin. It's a different level of love. A parent's love for a child is more than the child loves himself almost. Because the parent is selfless for the child. The child and the parent wants what's best for the child. The child may believe what's best for him, he doesn't know what's best for him. But twins, in terms of that, definitely not. But here, this is not emotional. It's just the reality. Because we're speaking about one ovum that was split in half to become two entities, it's the same. So if a person has a pain in his hand, doesn't he feel, his whole body feels that pain. So it's this other aspect of relationship that Hashem has with us. It's like we're one entity. It's like the twins. We say Yisrael v'Oraiso kuch brichu charu. The Torah, Yisrael v'Oraiso, Hashem, Yisrael, the Jewish people, and the Torah, the Kuchu Brichu, and God is one. It's like one entity. We're intertwined. We're inextricable from the other. Inseparable. We speak about cause and effect. God is the Oleh. He's the cause. He willed our existence. It's interesting. The Medrash refers to Avram. It says, just as one darns a garment or weaves a garment, it uses the word ma'acheh. As the tailor is able to darn a garment, if you have a tear, he's able to take the two pieces of cloth and make them one. Regardless, Avram, there was no question, theological question, which Avram wasn't able to respond to. He was ma'acheh. He could bring things together. Mitztarfim yachad ha'ochus v'atam siach shekol davar sheyesh lo hitztarfus gon zeh yisod nikrom bonim el Hashem yisborach. What we call children. There's a bonding. A child, factually, is an extension of the parent. Shua Olalem, because he's the cause. Why is Hashem Avinu? Because we're his children. The father is the cause, and the consequence is the child. That's the expression of the parent. Therefore, we have this bonding. We have this oneness. It's because there's this attachment. There's this unifying factor. It's interesting. It says in Zusa Brocha, Vayi Bishur Melech, right? Then it says, V'sasef Rosh Yom Yachad Shiftei Yisrael. It says Yachad. So Rashi cites Chazal, the Medrash. When we're Yachad, when we're unified, then he's our king. If we're not unified, he's not our king. Brothers, you should be unified. So if you don't behave as if you're brothers, then God says, you're not my children. God is the Melech when we're unified. Because literally, there's the Oleh, he's the cause. It's like the father to his children. If the children don't behave as brothers to one another, the father says, you know something? I don't even recognize you people. This is Seforno at the beginning of Shmos. It says that Vayokom Melech Chodesh al Mitzrayim, a new king arose over Egypt. Asher lo yodes Yosef, didn't know Yosef. So Rashi cites there's an argument. What does it mean? Melech Chodesh, does it mean it's the same old king, but he had a new mandate, and there were new decrees? So what does it mean? He didn't know Yosef. He behaved as if he didn't know Yosef. I mean, Yosef saved the country. If not for Yosef, they would have perished in the famine. I mean, so how do you mistreat his family? After all that he did for the wealth, existence, everything. Ashul Yodas Yosef. He behaved as if he didn't know Yosef. The others know Melech Chodesh. It was truly a new king. He didn't know Yosef, but still, even if you don't know him, but historically, right? But either way, the behavior is unconscionable behavior. How do you treat the Jews as you're treating them? To enslave them, to persecute them, to torture them. How do you do this? To impose quotas which are humanly impossible to meet. So the Torah says, Vayirbu. It says Vayirbu, Vayishritzu, Vayirbu, Vayatzbu, Vayishritzu, Vayirbu, Vayishritzu, Vayatzbu od mod. They increased Vayishritzu like shrotzim, like rodents, and they became empowered very, very much. The numbers were staggering. So Rashi cites the Gemara. It says they had 6 children and one litter, one birth. There was no less than six children born every time, like a sheretz, like a rodent. The Seforno says that after that generation passed away, the Jews took on a persona, a level of value. They weren't behaving as Jews any longer. They behaved like Egyptians. They behaved like shrotzim. Relative to where they should have behaved, they were like rodents. So Paro said, I don't see any semblance of relationship. It's like this is a different people. This is not Yosef's family. And because of that, he was able to justify the bondage. You have a conscience. How do you do this to this man's son? The way this person, his values, his behavior, everything, has no relevance to that original person. Therefore, conscience-wise, I have no problem enslaving them. So Hashem, if you born him, you behave like Hashem's children, he recognizes his children. You don't behave as bonim, you don't behave as his children. He says, I don't know you people. But despite that, when we're pained, he's pained. Regardless, even though we're at fault. Umedrash Chozes B'Shir Hashirim Rabo is a medrash. Shol Reb Shimi Yechoy Es Reb Eliezer Reb Yossi. Reb Shimi Yechoy Es Reb Eliezer Reb Yossi Efshi Shamati Me'avicho. He said, maybe you heard from your father. Mal Bater Shitra Lo Imo. Shlomo writes, the crown which he was coronated by his mother. Ater is the crown. Om Elohein, He says, my father did say something about that. That posuk in Shir Hashirim. Amalo heich, amalo heich. He says, what did he say? Reb Shimon yes, Reb Eliezer son, what did your father Reb Yossi say? Amalo Moshe lemelech. It's analogous to a king, Shoyelo bas yichida. He had an only daughter. V'hoya mechav b'yoser. He loved her. He adored his daughter very much. Acher kol imo. He referred to his daughter as mother. Like a person feels close to his mother, that's the closeness he had to his daughter. Kach mitchila chova kadosh baruch hu Yisrael kor labiti. Initially, the love that Hashem had for us, it was like a father-daughter relationship, as if we were the only daughter. Hainu hu dechsiv shimi bas uri. Be attentive, my daughter, and see. Originally, the relationship from father to daughter. Lozoz mechavo achikor leimi. The love intensified, and he no longer referred to as my daughter, my mother. Dechsiv hakshiva imi uleimi. Really, it's hakshiva ami. Amiksiv, but it's spelled imi with an aleph. When he heard this from Reb Eliezer saying it over in the name of his father, he valued it. He kissed Reb Eliezer on his forehead for sharing this invaluable understanding with him. I mean, we'd hear it. We wouldn't get too excited. It was first his daughter, then his imi, therefore what? He says, if I would have only come to hear just this alone, it was worthwhile. Travel across the globe. It was worthwhile. The similar, the Vilna Gaon never met the Ramchal. Never met Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. But they lived at the same time. The Vilna Gaon, his level of greatness was the equivalent of one of the early commentators. So, one of the works that the Ramchal authored is the Mesillas Yesharim, the Path of the Just. And it's a fundamental work in Musar work. And they had brought it to Vilna Gaon. After it was published, Vilna Gaon never saw it. Vilna Gaon, the way he would go through something, he went. He says, first 15 chapters, not one word is superfluous. Every word is written with a specific intent. He was amazed. But you know what he said? He says, if I would have to walk 15 miles without shoes to see the Ramchal, I would do it. That's how valuable this man is. It will be a privilege and an honor to meet the man. And this is the Vilna Gaon speaking. Lahavdil. Not lahavdil. Not lahavdil. Reb Shimon Choy says, it was worthwhile to come to you to hear these few words in the name of your father. It was worth it. Dayeni. Biro. But what's the understanding? What's so profound? This is profound. The three appellations, three levels of expression which reveal the level of attachment that he has to us. Hashem's attachment. And these levels all emanate from him. He's the cause. Dichsiv. Halohu avicha konecha. What does Moshe Rabbeinu say to Klal Yisrael? Halohu avicha konecha. He is your father who has founded you. He's established you. Sheyizbarach nikra oleh bifrat liYisrael. He is the cause, like a father is the cause of the child. If not for father, there is no child. God is the cause of our existence. Uleficha koram bas. Therefore, we're called bas. We're his daughter. Ratzon lomar. Sheyisrael him alulim el Hashem yizborach. V'lo zos michavat shekoram achosi. We go from seemingly a daughter is closer than a sister. But first he called us bas, biti, and then the other appellation is achosi. This is phenomenal. A daughter is not at the same level as a father. Father's the cause, the daughter's the next generation. What about you have two siblings who are twins? You're peers, equals, but equals at the most level of equal possible. You're twins. two siblings. We were born before and after. We're not that alike, although we have the same DNA, because we share the same parents. But in terms of us, there's a certain unlikeness among us. But if you have two at the same level, and they're twins, so first we have the same generation, we're almost born at the same moment, and the likeness is identical. So Hashem first biti. Biti means I caused you to come about, like a father to a child. Then achosi, not only that, I value you as an equal. You know what I mean? It's God is the creator. He values us as an equal. That's his degree of love for us. It's the chabrus, it's the attachment, it's the bonding. Within the context of daughter, that indicates we're his issue, kaviyachol. We his issue, like the child is the issue of the father, of the parent. And they descend from him. But afterwards, after we come about, so biti indicates he's the cause. But now that we're here, what's the nature of the relationship? A level of bonding of equals. Kasher abchinu mitzad zeh ki efshar lios below Yisrael levishim alulim kavyocho ole tzorach elo olu shein ole below olu. Okay? So if he's the cause and we are the effect, so therefore there's like an attachment which is inextricable. God is the cause of everything. Nothing could exist unless he wills its existence. V'dov she'efshel lios b'lo dover acher hayri osa dover kilu hoyasibas lo ritzonu lomar bebchina zos ulefichach kor li sholeim. Meaning, it's a level. If my purpose is to bring about, so it's almost kavayochol. The parent needs the child as much as the child needs the parent. So in a certain context, it's like the child is the mother of the father, of the parent. It's like the Gemara says that the cow wants to give its milk more than the calf wants a nurse. That's the maternal attachment to the calf. But the calf is extracting from the mother. Doesn't make a difference. The attachment of the mother to the calf, it wants to give more than the calf wants to take. No, child is going on a way, and the parent loves. So the child says, "I'll take one." And there's no, take three. Well, that's a parent to a child. But what's left for you? Don't worry about me. It's okay. The parent values the child. You are me. You're more than me. Because in a certain way, on an emotional level, or on a certain chemical level, the parent needs the child. Yeah, you said this. He says, and that's the understanding of what Rebbe Lezer, the son of Rabbi Yossi, shared with Rabbi Shimon Yehoy. He says, and what the Ramban writes and he alludes to, the Pirush Torah Parshas Chayisora in Inyan Lozeh Maimer Klau, whatever, Ulefichach Omar, Ufikasher Ho Yisrael B'Tzoro, Shach Imo Anochi B'Tzoro. Therefore, if we're like twins, it's Kaviyachol, God needs us. Like a child needs a mother, It's interesting. There's an expression that ein melech b'lo om. A king is not a king unless he has subjects. The world are not God. The world is not God's subjects. They're not. Clothes are God's subjects. They're like out there, but they're not his subjects. They're his creations, but they're not his subjects. We are his subjects. Right? We say Avinu Malkeinu. If we refer to Hashem as Malkeinu, that means we're subjects. But in addition, it's Avinu. Right? You couldn't have a better relationship than that. That the subject is the son of the king. Now he's asking a question. In what way does God demonstrate? Well, we're in a limited situation. We're in a painful situation. He's in a painful situation. I mean, God's without limit. God's without limitation. A human being could be limited. You could be confined. You could be deprived. You could be afflicted. How does this manifest itself? God says, when you're limited, I'm limited. In what way is he limited? He says, but you find it? This is not uncommon, the words Chazal, that God experiences all the pain that we experience. When the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, there's a certain location which is hidden from all creation that God cries there over the destruction and the exile and displacement of his children. Meaning in the inner sanctums, the inner chambers, there's what we call crying. God cries. But the outer chambers, leka b'chio. Adkan. What does that mean? Meaning in the inner sanctums, God cries. In the outer chambers, God doesn't. He says, people, they read this, you're astounded. What does that mean? Either he cries or he doesn't cry. What's the whole concept? God cries. It looks like it's strange. It's a strange statement. He says, but if you understand, there's nothing to be taken aback. You shouldn't be in a state of wonderment with the statement. Because it's a pasuk. It says, when God was about to destroy the world with the great flood, what does it say? It says, Vayisatse v'libo. God was saddened in his heart. He had sadness in his heart. What's the concept of sadness? It's also, sadness is you're retracting. You're constricting. Right? That's sadness. V'tiksa nafshu b'amul Yisrael, quotes a pasuk. He was becoming intolerant because of what was happening. He was like losing patience because of the suffering of Klal Yisrael. Therefore, they could express themselves in such a way. God is pain. God cries. When we say crying, we're not talking about physical tears. But that's only for us to relate, whatever that means. Anybody who's wise and he has the appreciation for a wise understanding, there's nothing strange. It's not. That's a strange statement. When you read the pasuk, is it a strange statement? Torah tells us there's a reality. God reveals himself in the bush. But why did he pick a thorn bush? What does thorn represent? You know, you come in contact with a thorn bush, it represents something which is desolate, and also something, if you come in contact, it's pain, right? Thorn bush. Al Shem imo nochi b'tzora. To indicate, God says, the Shechin is in the bush, as they're suffering, I'm suffering. I'm in the thorn bush. Ein dov zeh ma sheyikshe. There's nothing to ask. Ki dvorim elu hem kfi asher nimtza lanu. He says, without any question, could a person, is there anything in existence, even the greatest angel, who has the capacity to receive the presence of God? It's impossible. God is infinite. And the level is beyond. Who has the capacity? I mean, the Ramchal writes, when he speaks about prophecy, he says, a prophet who prophesies even once in a lifetime, after the prophecy passes, he's a changed human being. He's no longer that same human being before the prophecy. Different dimension person. When I say different dimension, I'm not saying he's enlightened. It's a different dimension of reality which doesn't exist in existence. When we say it's more that he was touched by God. So the Ramchal writes, every prophet prophesies in a sleep state. Why in a sleep state? He explains, when the Shekhinah, divine presence, comes upon a person, and every prophet is at different levels based on it, but it's always in the sleep state, the physical body does not have the capacity to receive the intensity of God's presence at that minimal level. And the person factually should die. His body does not have the capacity to continue to function. So what does Hashem do? First, the prophecy is to the neshama, but the soul is in the body. God puts the prophet on life support. Although he should die, simultaneously God wills he should remain alive, despite the fact he does not have the capacity to contain that level of holiness. It's like you compare it, a person chas v'sholem is hit by lightning. The amount of voltage that goes through his body, the body does not have the capacity to absorb that level of voltage. The person dies. Putting it minimally, that's what the Shekhinah is to the prophet. When a prophet prophesies. So he says, there's nothing in existence, even the greatest angel, who has the capacity to receive the presence of God. Doesn't have the capacity. What do we say? We say in Kedusha on Musaf, Aye Makom Kavodo. Right? We say it. Aye. Where is his location of kavod? Where is such a place? The world cannot contain him. The spiritual worlds can't contain him. So where is it? The Malachim asked this question. Aye Makom Kavodo. Emetzi Shucha Lekabaloso. That Moshe Rabbeinu was taken aback. Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, "V'osli migdash v'shachanti b'socham." Make for me a sanctuary. Should dwell in your midst. So what is it? Relatively speaking, it's a 2 by nothing. So Moshe is taken aback. He's overwhelmed. He says, "I don't understand." He says, "Heaven and earth cannot contain you. This small location can contain your presence." That's Hashem says, "You do what you have to. I'll do mine. I'll work it out somehow." Right? It's not understandable. It's not fathomable. The angel can't fathom it. What happened at Sinai? The Gemara says in Shabbos, all Jews prophesied in a wake state. Every Jew expired. They died. They died at Sinai. They did not have the capacity to receive the Shekhinah. In a wake state, Hashem resurrected them. It's interesting. I mean, according to the Chazal, that all Jews at Sinai were resurrected. You know, we say, Gershon Eskai Kochenola Dummy. Conversion is like a new birth. If a person, non-Jew, becomes a Jew, it's not the same person. Although physically it is, but it's a different person. Sinai, the Gemara says, was a conversion. Pre-Sinai, what was that classification? We were B'nai Noach. We were Noahites. At Kabbalah Torah, we became B'nai Yisrael. We became Goy Kodosh. We're a different dimension. So not only were we a different dimension only because we went into the mikveh and we were circumcised. No. We were a new creation. We died and then we were revived. Not revived. Our soul was re-implanted in us. We became different. We were different human beings. When we say born again, this is the real born again over here. This was Tchias HaMesim. That's what it was, except it wasn't from the molecule to be recreated from the dust. It was a body without a soul. Hashem reimplanted the soul in us to become alive again. But what Hashem had to do it that way? He could have willed that we shouldn't die, as he wills that the prophet doesn't die in the sleep state. The answer is no, because that was part of that was a conversion. This is the real conversion. This is from corpse to life. That's what became a Klal Yisrael. Uleficha makablim makablim fi kocham lefi richok shelohem shem rechok mishem yisborach. A person could only has the capacity to receive as much. If you have an ounce cup, could you put more than an ounce into it? It's all the receptacle. So based on one's capacity, everybody has a different capacity in terms of kedusha. Could you accept? Moshe Rabbeinu was at, not only was his neshama elevated, his physicality was spiritualized. So therefore he was able to prophesy the wake state. He didn't die. That was Moshe Rabbeinu's dimension. Any other prophet cannot prophesy the wake state. It has to be in a sleep state. So he says, but each prophet, you can only have the capacity to receive based on your capacity. Could you compare an angel to a human being in his capacity? You cannot equate what's in the spiritual worlds to what's in the physical worlds. God's presence has greater relevance to the angel than to a human being. Here, it's interesting. If you're at distance and you see something in your own capacity, it appears like he's crying. It appears. But in its reality, this is splendor and this is exaltedness. Everything is splendor and everything is perfection. We will continue.